Hey everybody, welcome to another emulation tutorial video. Today's emulator that I'm going to be running you through is Kega Fusion, which is a Genesis emulator, but it also runs other games as well, interestingly enough. So I'm going to quickly load it up. As soon as you've come out of the setup wizard and you've installed it on your computer, when you load it up it'll look like this, static screen. And then you simply just press file and you load whatever you need to load. I only have Genesis games when it comes to Sega stuff on here at the moment. I might look into getting some CD or Game Gear stuff and maybe some Master System stuff later down the line. But for the time being, we're just going to use Genesis as an example. This emulator is pretty good though, to be fair. I've used it a few times. I haven't used it a ton, but I've played around with it and it seems to be a good solid emulator. The only issue I'm having with it is that I can't seem to full screen it for whatever reason. Might have something to do with how it recognizes my hardware or something. So if you do have the full screen issues, like I'm doing, you might have to look online to see how to fix it. But other than that, it's a good emulator regardless. It also has netplay, so you can play over the internet with people, which is kind of cool, much like SNES 9X, which I showed in an earlier tutorial. So we're going to load up Genesis, or a Genesis game, rather, and I'm going to load up Virtua Racing. The sound is disabled because there's no volume slider for this, which is a bit of a shame, really. But I'll quickly show off the audio. And of course the sound's fine. I'm going to have the sound muted for now, but yeah, there's no volume slider for this, unfortunately. So if you're running this through OBS, you're probably going to have to adjust the sound through OBS, essentially, or use your computer's volume slider. So as you can see, it's running perfectly fine. I'm going to quickly load up a race here real quick, just to show it off. We'll do a beginner. This emulator is pretty awesome. Like, it's pretty accurate of what it's usually emulating. I have not played this game in like forever. So yeah, as you can see, it's running fine, and it's Virtua Racing, really. What more can you say? There's no special frills or anything with putting the games onto your hard drive. You're not going to need 7-zip or anything, I believe, because most of the games are on their own. They're on their own folder, which you can just extract and place in a folder that you want to place into. Like, you know, kind of like how GBA and SNES and even N64 are like, essentially. So there's no fancy, oh, spun out there. There's no fancy 7-zip extracting or anything like that, so it's all good. But yeah, it's pretty much hardware perfect. There's a couple of games that have their issues, but then again, with most emulators you have to kind of play around with things and get things working as best as you can. We'll also load up some Sonic, I guess. We'll load up Sonic and Knuckles. Oh, have I loaded up the wrong one? Looks like I have. There we go. So yeah, we'll just quickly use Sonic as an example, since we can, you know. And there you go, Sonic's now playing perfectly fine on here. I've never really been that great at Sonic personally, but you know, if it's what you're into, then hey, you can play it on your computer, which is quite nice. And the fact that it supports like Game Gear and the other systems is quite nice, including the CD functionality, because there's quite a few versions of games that were on Sega CD that were really good and stuff like that, which is always nice. Let me see what other features are in here. I was just quickly showing that off as an example. You can also change what country the Genesis is set to, or rather the system is set to, which is quite nice. There's also the CD drive. At the minute I don't have it configured. You can also set this to a high priority as well, meaning you can have your computer basically prioritize it, essentially in terms of program priority. So if you want it to be running flawlessly, you know, this is a good option to click on and use. You can frame advance. You can, you know, you can even enable the keyboard functionality, which is quite cool. This has a lot of good things going for it. It's just that I've got to figure out how to get this to be full screen. I seem to have an issue with this every time. I'll quickly showcase what my problem is. I go to like 19 by 20 and then I get an error that looks a bit like this. So I go to full screen and I get this, essentially. It's like a black screen. There'll be a sound that pings in a minute. Right on cue. And the issue I have is Direct 3D internal error, unable to set display mode. I don't know what's causing it, but I'm probably going to have to mess around with this and fix it. I think I've just broken the damn thing, actually. Let me just hard way close it. On that bombshell, I guess it's time to finish the video. Other than the full screen issues, it's a very good emulator, and it has a lot of good things going for it. It runs games very well. The only down vote that I really give towards it is that there's no volume slider for the audio on its own, and last but not least, the full screen issue is a bit of a pain. Other than that, it's solid otherwise. If you can get the full screen stuff working, then good. You'll have no problems having fun with it. And the fact that it supports multiple other stuff as well is really nice. Like, you know, the Master System, the Game Gear, the Genesis and CD are all supported. There's also Game Genie stuff too, so if you want to mess around with cheats as well, that's there as well. Like most emulators have a cheat function, which is always cool. Right, that's pretty much going to be it for this video. Sorry it wasn't as informative as the other emulator videos, but I'm not too well versed in Kega Fusion in depth enough to run over every little detail. But other than that, it's a solid emulator for what it is. It supports a lot of other functions. The full screen stuff kind of sucks, I know, and also the lack of a sound slider is another issue. And also, last but not least, you can just download the games and extract them from a zip. There's no 7-zip things to do. I don't know if that's the case with Sega CD. I think it's the similar case with what the Genesis and the Game Genie stuff, the Game Gear stuff. So yeah, give this one a look into if you're big into Sega stuff and you want to emulate, you know, most of the good stuff on there. As always, I will leave a link in the description showing where you can get the emulator from, as well as the library of games. And yeah, ciao for now.